Hello, a very good morning to you all today. Welcome to our Totally Beads Live. Today I'm going to be doing some little bracelets with you. I've named them Noughts and Crosses just because the beads look like little knots, and then I'm using lots of lovely little spaces to make a little cross effect running through the middle of them. So it's really easy to do. I'm using a little bit of wire today. We've got 6 lovely colour choices for you, but we've also got a multi-buy offer. So if you would like, you can mix your colours. Today I think I'll just pick 2 of the colours on gold and I'll do a little mixy matchy with them. So let me know, where are you watching from this morning? How are you doing? And how is your Wednesday going? You can see how mine is. Good morning to Rachel Furness-Bourne. How are you doing? She says, good morning from a wet and windy Barrow. It is just starting to rain, which is wonderful. It's grey. It's autumnal, almost winter. It's felt like it's gone really dark lately, dark and cold. I have the joiner in today, so there may be a little bit of background noise, but hopefully not too much. And hopefully all my settings are okay and you can see and hear me nice and clearly. So I'm going to take you to that rhyme. I'm going to take you over to the website now so you can see our lovely bracelets. So head over to totallybeads.co.uk and here you will find our kits for today. If you head into the video tutorial section, lots of different ways to get in there. If you want to go onto the main page, you'll see we've got these little boxes here called video tutorials. We can go into learn to make jewelry. We've got some gorgeous products, new products on the website, so they're beautiful. I'm going to have a little nosy about them later. I might just go bead shopping because it's the thing that makes me happy. You've also got this video tutorial section here that will take you into exactly the things. So these are our kits and what we've been making lately, all these lovely bracelets and earrings. Today I'm going to do these bracelets, so this is how they will look. Just name them Noughts and Crosses. Just because of me if so, but you can name them whatever you like if you would like to make them as well. So we have them in, each kit is going to make up 4 bracelets, so there's loads that you can do with these. We have them each in a colorway for you, so you could get the silver with the iceberg blue, you could get gold with the lemon colored beads, we've got gorgeous olive on gold as well, we've got pink rose on the gold, we've also got a silver dust, and we've got a wisteria on silver as well. I think that's it. Yeah, 3 of each. So each of your kits today making 4 bracelets are just £5.99, but we do 3 for 15 as well. So if you wanted to, you might want to get all 3 of the gold colorways, or you might want to mix up and get maybe 1 of the silver, 1 of the gold. Today I'll demo the lemon and the olive, but whichever colour you choose, this method will show you how to do it. It will all work the same way. So I'll show you the measurements of what you're going to get in your kit. Of course, times this all by 4, you're going to get enough to make 4 bracelets. So you're going to have your lobster clasp and your jump rings. Your lobster clasp is 12mm in size. I'm using some wire this morning, a 0.4mm wire, which is I think a 26 gauge wire, and we're going to be using some gorgeous glass pearl round beads. You can see those in the center there. They are 6mm in size, and I'm going to be using 2 sizes of the spacers as well. So if you have a little drop down, you can see I'm using 3mm acrylic beads. I've also got 2 of the larger size spacer beads, which are 4mm. So you're going to get 3s and 4s in there. As I say, you're going to be using the 0.4 wire. In this case, it will be silver, so it will match your findings and your spacers. Your iceberg blue in this kit is 6mm. I don't know why you've got your nylon invisible thread there. That's not being used at all, so you won't get that in your kit, and I'll update that when we finish. All we need here is wire, beads, spacers, and tool wise I'm going to go for some wire cutters, some round nose or bail step making pliers, and a pair of chain nose pliers. You might want 2 to open up your jump rings. That's it. Very minimal, but rather pretty little look. So that one is your iceberg. I'll just whiz them through very quickly so you can have a little look. All of them are £5.99, making 4 bracelets. This one is the lovely lemon on gold. So you can see I'm just making that little crisscross effect running through them. You're going to get all the same materials, just in a different colorway here. So there how your lemon chiffon look. We have the gorgeous olive, which is possibly my favourite colour this time of year. I'm really drawn to my greens at the moment. So that one is the olive on the gold. We've got the rose pink, so you can see how that will look. And there you're finding some bits and bobs at the bottom. If you want to add anything extra into your kit, then you can just click add here. You might think, I'd like some nylon. You might want to click that in. You don't need it for this bracelet though. I mean, you could, I suppose, do it on an invisible thread instead. I just like the kind of shape that the wire gives you with this one. We've got a gorgeous silver dust, which is very, very pretty, giving seasonal vibes. Really, really lovely. And we've also got this beautiful wisteria, which is absolutely gorgeous. I think that in the silver dust would look really lovely if you did want to multi-buy and get that 3 for 15 and you wanted to mix up the colour of your beads, then you could do so really easily. You're going to get plenty in your kit. For an 8-inch bracelet, I'm going to be using 14 of those beads. That will give you an 8-inch. I personally don't wear an 8-inch bracelet, so if you're going to make smaller, then you can just adapt the design really, really easily. Just add less on, and that's going to give you some additional beads as well to play with if you'd like to make yourself some little matching earrings or something. So there are Noughts and Crosses bracelets today: iceberg, lemon, olive, pink, silver, dust and wisteria, all £5.99, or 3 for £15. If you want to change your currency, head up to the top of the page. Just right up there, you'll see you can change to wherever you are in the world, because we ship worldwide. And I think they make nice little gifts and just nice little comfortable wears as well. It's not a long make, but they do look very, very pretty. So I'm going to say hello to you all, and then I'm going to take you down on the mat so you can see the colours, and we're going to get making. So hello to you all. I said good morning to our lovely Rachel. Hello to Helena from Sweden. Good morning to you. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining me. Camille says good morning, Natalie. Dull, dark and cold. Sitting under the throw, keeping warm, watching you. We're going to cozy up together, Camille. Good morning to Just Me. She says, I love your Christmas sweater. It's not Christmas. It's autumnal. It's got little foxes on it. But it's giving that kind of getting to Christmas vibes. Thank you. I'm not quite at the Christmas jumper just yet. Good morning to Jan. How are you doing? She says she's in a dull Sudbury. Good morning to Anne. How are you, my lovely? Peace and love to you back, Anastasia. She says it's 9 minutes past 5 and it's 46 degrees cool. Good morning to Yolanda. How are you doing? It's 3 minutes past 5 when Yolanda commented. Good morning to you. Izzy's in as well, making like crazy just now. She says for 2 Christmas fairs, I've got lots of makes on the go. I've got one coming up at the first weekend of December, and I desperately want to do it because I haven't done a fair for ages, but I just got so much on at the moment, like house-wise. My kitchen will hopefully be fitted the same week. My floor is getting put down. My windows are going in. My doors going in. There's just so much the first few weeks of December. I'm more concerned, to be honest, where am I going to put my Christmas tree? Where is Christmas fitting in my house this year? But it is what it is. It'll be worth it in the long run. So yeah, good luck to you, Izzy, with your craft fairs. Just enjoy it. Make sure you've got a range of different priced things. Don't undersell yourself. Don't put too much out on your table either. If it's jewelry that you're selling, I'm assuming, keep your table looking nice and clean so people can see. If it's too busy, they can get a little bit overwhelmed. Take some things to make with. This is my tip. I give all the tips, don't do myself. Take things to make with so people can see that you are making handmade things, and it will maybe draw them over for a little watch. And if it is jewelry, have a mirror on your table as well. And then, you know, if people want to kind of try bits on, then they can do that. Good luck to you. You'll be absolutely fine. I'm sure you'll smash it. Good morning to Elaine. Good morning to Joanne. Hello to lovely Mina, who says she can't get on Facebook. There's other people here on Facebook, Mina, so I'm not too sure why that is. It might be a you thing. Good morning to TLG, all the way from BC, Canada. Thank you so much for being with me. Izzy, yeah, it would have been easier to move house. It really, really would. It would probably have been just as expensive as well, to be honest. But this house that I live in, we've lived in for a long time. We used to rent it. And then we bought it just before Frank was born. But it used to be the first owners of it were my husband's grandparents. So it's been in his family for forever. I think it was built in like 1938. So it's a beautiful house. It just needs a lot of upkeep and a lot of TLC. And there's no time like the present. Good morning, Sheila. Oh gosh, she's still in Lanzarote. It's very hot. She's made 3 Lisa bracelets yesterday and wore one to dinner last night. She's making the Ariana bracelets today. Well, maybe, Sheila, when you get home, you can make one of these noughts and crosses ones as well. Good morning to Angela in Far. She's going to go and walk the dog, have a lovely brisk walk. And Mina says, I need help with making. I've got a few fairs booked starting this weekend. Mina, you're always on a fair or doing something. You don't stop. Your feet don't touch the ground. I hope it goes well for you as well, lovely. Right, down on the mat we go. These are the Noughts and Crosses bracelets. Really, really pretty. This is your iceberg blue. I'm hoping that lens is okay. Should we give it a teeny polish? I'll just trash the place as I get up. Let me just bring myself up because you can see this is my jewellery cloth. But it does the job, usually. Let's give that a teeny little wipe. Sorry, should have checked that before, shouldn't I? Let's see, is this any clearer? Nah. Okay, there is your iceberg blue on your silver. Can you see why I named them Noughts and Crosses? I just thought it was cute. These are beautiful silver dust. I'm loving them this morning. They're really, really pretty. This one is your wisteria, so a beautiful purple. We've got this gorgeous green colour here, which is your olive. This one is the lemon. And then we have this gorgeous rose pink. So if you want to make an 8-inch bracelet, I'm going to be making 14 of these. If you want to make it smaller, as you can see, I've done various different versions. Then you're just adding more in. It is wire, so you've got that lovely kind of suppleness to it. So you can open it out and shape it really, really easy. What I love about making wire bracelets is our wrists aren't fully round, they are oval. So these have got kind of like, you can mold them to the shape of what you like. Joanne is saying she loves the iceberg, which is this one. So lots of different colours for you to choose from today. 3 on the gold, 3 on the silver. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to do a little mix. So I'm going to use the lovely green olive and I'm going to use the lemon, because I think they'd look really nice together. I'm going to use my gold spacers, my gold wire and my gold findings. Oh, Camille's thinking she prefers the silver colours this morning. Not like you, but isn't variety the spice of life, as they say? So this is the wire that I'm using. I'm just using a 0.4mm wire, which is about a 26 gauge for those of you that work in that system. This means that I've got quite a fine wire, but it's strong and it's sturdy. I'm going to be using 2 little jump rings. They're outer diameter 6x1, but any will do, really. All you need to make sure is that it's large enough for you to be able to pop in your lobster clasp at the end, which is also included in your kit. And then I'm using 2 sizes of spacers. For one bracelet, I only need 2 of the 4mm spacers, and I need all the, which is just going to be at the top here. That one's a slightly larger spacer, and then throughout the crisscross kind of X's, the little kisses, I'm going to be using the 3mm spacers for that. So I'm using quite a few of those. For your crisscross, you'll be using 9 spaces. Let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so there's 9 little spaces forming those crosses in the center. So to begin with, I'm going to take about 70 centimeters of the wire. Of course, if you're making a small bracelet, you're not really going to need all of that, but I'm going to use about 70 centimeters, which is about 28 inches, I think. I'm just finding the middle, and to do so, I'm just bringing those two ends up together so I can kind of find a center point, because when I'm working off it, I want to make sure I've got 2 equal lengths. I made something the other day, just trialing it out for a live in December, and I cut my wire too short, and I thought, you don't learn. You always say use more than you think you're going to need, because it's so much more difficult with certain makes to kind of add that extra through. They are very lovely and they're very, very cute, and I've worked it out. But yeah, I ran short on the wire, so even me still, well, I say even me, it's no surprise, is it, if I make a mistake. So I'm going to take my jump ring, I'm going to open it up by giving it a little twist to open, and then I'm going to add my lobster clasp on. And I'm just doing this to start, and then I'm going to close it up. I'm going to make sure I fully close that jump ring, so taking it past the point where the two ends meet, and then making it nice and aligned. I'm now going to take my wire and I'm going to drop that jump ring through so it sits roughly in the center, just here. I'm going to give it a little pinch to bring that quite close down. Let's move it out of the way. I don't need that ruler, I don't think. And then I'm just going to wrap that wire around. So where I've brought it through, I'm just going to bring it through again. This is why we want the jump ring. We want the jump ring closed, because we're only using a 0.4mm wire. You know, it could. What's happening there? Oh, what have we done? We don't want it to slip through. I don't know what I've done. Let me take that back out. So move away from the opening if need be. Pinch to bring it round. And then I'll just smooth through my wires just to make sure it's nice and straight when I start. But if you can see here, I'm just bringing that wire round again just to wrap. And I want to pull it fairly taut. And then if you want to, you could even bring that round again. We just want to make it nice and firm. And usually when I'm wrapping wire onto something, I like to wrap 3 times. So can you see here? I've just wrapped that round, and then pinch those wires together. And then I can run that through my fingers on my wire straighteners just to straighten out any kinks. So that is now my clasp already attached. If you want to, and this isn't a necessity, but if you want to, you can use a macrame board. And what I tend to do is just pop a little pin through that jump ring just to hold it in place. And then if it's easier, you can use your wire on the board just to kind of keep it where you need it while you're working. So I'm going to take the first of my larger spacer beads, which is the 4mm. So I say larger, it's still dinky, but I'm going to pop this on, and I'm going to take my 2 ends of wire. Can you see how those 2 ends of wire are the same length? I'm now going to just slide those ends up through the hole in the large spacer bead, and that's going to sit underneath that jump ring. So if I just hold it up to camera, you can see it's just sitting underneath there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first bead. Now I'm going to do a little mix today. I'm going to use 2 different colours in this bracelet. So I am just going to alternate between the beads. But obviously when you're making yours, if you just get the kit, you can use all of the one colour, and then it doesn't really matter which way you're popping them on. Anastasia says, can you make something for guys before this month is over for Christmas, so we can get the kids home on time? I'm scheduled now all the way up to, December. I'll have a little think if there's anything that I've made which could be a little bit more masculine. I've got some kind of Christmas decor stuff as well, but I will have a little look, Anastasia, and see if there's anything that I might be able to do before the year's out to give you that opportunity. Hi Carol, are you okay? Hello Phoenix, long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Just a little disclaimer. If anyone has tried to email me, my work emails aren't working, so I can only apologise. I can't access that. So if anyone sent me any messages, please don't think I'm ignoring you, and I'd imagine it's just bouncing back. Okay, so I've added on my 4mm spacer. I'm going to take my first bead. I'm going to go for this lovely olive, and I'm going to slide my one of the wire ends through. So in this case, it's coming from the left and going through the bead. Hi, Lisa. And then I'm taking the right wire on the right side and I'm sliding that through the same bead, just going through that 6mm bead. So they kind of crisscross like so. So I've got one wire coming through one way, the other wire coming through the other. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently pull on those wires and get that sitting right up close to that stopper. Now, if that's moved down, and it has, I'll take this out to show you. And you see there's too much of a space there. I want that spacer bead right up to that jump ring, essentially. So I'm just going to use my tool. This hasn't happened before. I'm going to make sure it doesn't happen now. So I'm going to open them out a little bit and then just pull on those wire ends. Not too firmly, don't want it to snap, but we want to have that bead sitting in the centre. So if I give that a little pull on both sides, there you go, that's much better. Can you see how that's working? The only reason that's done that is because I've pinned it into the board from the off. I can pin it back in now. So I've got those two wires coming out either side. Now I'm going to move on to the spacer bead that I'm going to be usually working with, which is the 3mm size. So let me get some of these out. Yeah, Phoenix, that's a good idea. She says you need to have a go at paracord works, fab for men. I I know I've not had any photos. I hope Doggo's okay. So yeah, if you have a little look on the website, Anastasia, we've got loads of past makes. So if those kits are still available, there might be something masculine on there that you like, and you can order that straight away, and then you'll be able to watch that past shoot as well. All of our tutorials are saved there, and we've got, it's got to be over 5 years of making now. So I've got my first 6mm bead on, 2 of the 3mm beads, the spacers, and I'm going to pop 2 onto one side and let them fall to the top of the bead, and I'm going to put 2 on the other side. So this is going to start to form my first little crisscross. So 2 on each side, and then I'm going to bring back through another bead, just like I did with this one, but I'm going to do it with the spacer now to make this cross. So placing the bead on one side, doesn't matter if it's the left or the right wire, and then passing that wire back through in the opposite direction from the other side. And again, drawing those wires up so it's sitting in the middle just underneath that bead. Get that tension nice. All I do is just run it through my fingers just to straighten out. So we said before my cross was made by 9 little spacers, so I've got 5 on at the moment. So I'm going to do another 2 onto this side, onto the left. And what is good if you are using the macrame board is it's got little slots in the bottom, so you can just keep your wires in place so they're, when you're working with the long length of wire to begin with, they're not going to get like in the way. And then I popped another 2 on there. So that's formed my first little cross. All I need to do now is pick up my next bead. So I'm going to go for my 6mm glass pearl. This time I'm using the lemon colour. and I'm going to pop it on one side, so in this case the left, and then I'm bringing that right side wire back through, again just in the opposite direction. Draw those wires away from each other, so if I'm pulling this one and I'm pulling that one, that will position that bead up nice and close, and then my first little cross is done. It is just a case of repeating that pattern now to length. So 2 onto one side of my 3mm spacers, 2 onto the right hand tail of wire, picking up an extra 3mm spacer onto one of the wires, and then passing the opposite end through that same little spacer bead. Just pulling gently on those wires, and then another 2 spacer beads. Push them up into position, and then another 2 space beads. Now, because I'm mixing the colours, I'd have made the most of that offer we've got today, and I'd have bought a couple of the colours. Obviously, you're going to get 4 bracelets in each kit, but we've also got a multi-buy offer on as well. So if you wanted to buy 3 different colours, that's been reduced to £15. Or you might think, I love the iceberg, I want 3 kits of the iceberg. So for a 12 bracelets in total, you don't have to mix and match. But because I am mix and matching and utilising more than one colour into this bracelet, then I'm just going to alternate between my beads. So I'm just going to alternate between 2 colours today. So I'm going to go back through that olive bead, and then give it a little push up. Now, you don't have to do it on a macrame board. I think if I'm doing it this way, it helps because you can see what I'm doing. But if you haven't got one, you don't need one. I made some with and some without. It was just, if anything, really, to keep my wires from moving around. So I can pop my wire in the side of the board there and hold it in place, or at the bottom of the board, because you'll see all of the edges got that too. So I often use my macrame board for things other than just macrame. You can put 3 beads onto one side because you're going to bring it back through the last one anyway, but I like to put 2 on each side and then just add that extra one. And the wire, with it being a 0.4, is still strong. Don't worry, if it's a 0.3, you are at risk of kind of snapping it, I suppose. I tend to find I've not had that problem at all with the 0.4. I'm only passing it through the bead or the spacer once. The make that's coming up will be passing through the beads a couple of times, so I've wanted to use a slightly smaller gauge for that. But this is, I think this is the Goldilocks for this make, the 0.4. So 2 spacers on to one side, and then 2 spacers onto the other side. And then picking up my next colour, going through the hole in the glass pearl. And then taking that wire back through in the opposite direction. So it's really straightforward, really, really, really easy. And I'm just giving it a little pull just to make sure that my beads are nice and kind of snug and my beads are sitting in the centre of those crisscrosses. And it's just a case of making my crosses after each of my lovely pearls. So it won't take you very long to make at all. You just need to keep going till you've got the length that you want. So I do like a repetitive make. I think you get into like a little rhythm with it. And all you'll notice I'm doing at the end occasionally is just on the tip of the wire, just smoothing it through my finger. We want it to kind of have that kind of like needle tip finish with it really. So it's, you know, if it's bent and it's a bit kind of crooked, it won't go through as neatly. And then pulling that tension, if I've got the same amount of beads, 2 on one side, 2 on the other, that will mean that the spacer bead that crosses through will sit right in the center underneath that glass pearl. 2 spacers onto one side, and then 2 onto the other. So I do tend to get in a little rhythm with it. I'll work off the left and then the right. I kind of do it in a set way. But there's no right or wrong with this. Now I'm going to go back for my glass pearl. Now I've made that little cross with 9 of the spacer beads. And just bringing those wire ends through and pull up. And if you want to, just smooth through your wires, running them through your fingers so there's no major kinks in them. So 2 spacers onto the left and 2 spacers onto the right. So I'm just using the smaller spacer here, and these are the 3mm. Taking another spacer, just like we were doing with the pearl, I'm going to pop it onto one side. So in this case, I've popped it onto the right tail of wire, and I'm bringing it back so we've got that little cross, one travelling through in one direction, one travelling through in the other, drawing that down to sit underneath. Going to finish off the cross, or the little X, or the little kiss shape, with 2 more spacers onto one side and 2 onto the other, and then alternating for this particular make with my coloured beads. This is a nice easy beginner make. Just make sure that you're pulling fairly evenly on those tail ends of wire to get that cross nice and even. Two onto one side and 2 onto the other. So I am going to make a slightly smaller bracelet today, just because it's a very repetitive make. So you've seen it, you're going to want to know how to finish it. But if you want an 8-inch bracelet, then you're going to use about 14 of these glass pearls. I'll do a couple more. Mainly because if I do a couple more, then I get to keep this one. If I do it too small, then it's not going to fit anyone. You can keep measuring this against your ruler as well, so you've got an idea of the size that you're working at. You're going to have a little bit of additional length with your jump rings and the clasp, but you can just measure as you go. Of course, if you're working on a macrame board as well, they often have the measurements running down the side. So adding 2 onto one side and let that drop down. So I'm just popping my wires into the side of the board sometimes, or the end of the board, just to kind of keep them in place. But I appreciate my hands are probably in the way. I'll hold it up close so you can see. And passing back through the middle again. So it's looking like this, taking shape. Smooth the wires out as you go. Oh, the sunshine's coming out now. It's felt very wintry. I felt it's gone really dark and colder out. I mean, I like wrapping up and I love the autumn. But it helps if your house is watertight, which mine isn't. Just smoothing out those ends just a little bit, just so I can pass that back through the pearl. And then making it nice and even on both sides. So to make the cross, we're going to use all of the spacers. Adding 2 onto one end and 2 onto the other. The centre of the cross is formed by adding another spacer and passing that wire back through from the other side in the opposite direction. That will then sit neatly underneath the pearl, and then finishing off that little X with another 2 spacer beads. Pop that there on either side, and now that's formed my little X with 9 spacers. I'm going to just pass it through the pearl just to give it a lovely pop of colour. Smooth that out. It's getting a little bent. Probably because I'm pushing it in and out of the board, to be honest. And then drawing those wires away from each other, which moves that pearl into position. Two onto one side, 2 onto the other, and just repeat for length. I'll see how long this is at the moment. To be honest, I was only probably going to add another few pearls on. Simple project to do though, if you are maybe having a little mulled wine, or you're watching a film, or you're listening to the radio or a podcast or something, or you just want 5 minutes to yourself. And I think it is important, especially as we approach this time of year. It becomes a very, very busy time of year. Tonight is actually, here in the UK, I assume it's probably everywhere to be honest, is a beaver moon. So it's the 5th today. So it's a beaver moon. It's also a super moon. So like the moon's going to be as closer to the earth. So it's going to look really big and lovely. And it's called so because it's like when beavers are kind of sorting out their dams, they're getting ready and kind of getting their foundations in for the winter and all the rest of it. But this time of year is just so very, very busy. It just seems to speed up so many things on our calendars of being here, seeing them, doing that, getting this done. I do think it's nice to take a little bit of time out to do some crafting. But, in order for us to see this lovely moon, I don't know whether we will do tonight because it's also in the UK, it's bonfire night, which is, we have lovely fireworks, and not everybody loves them, and I know animals don't, but we have some lovely fireworks, and I love a bonfire. I don't really like what it represents, basically celebrating 600 years of deciding to do what we did to Guy Fawkes. But it is a definitely a day to stay in and to craft. Right, let's see how I'm getting on. I'm going to add one more on. Thanks, Mina. Simple and elegant bracelet. So to finish off, I'm going to add my last little cross. So I'm popping on 2 spacer beads onto one side, 2 spacer beads onto the other side. I'm going to take another spacer bead and pass that through the middle for the last time. Make sure it sits neatly underneath that bead. I'm going to add another 2 onto the left side. The final 2 onto the right side. And then I'm going to finish with my pearl. So I'm going to pick up my pearl and I'm going to pass the wire from the left through the centre and the right through the centre, so it travels up in opposite directions, like so. I'm going to take this off the board and let you have a look at it a bit closer. So it's looking like this. Sheila says, you're a wealth of information, Natalie. I could talk to you about the moon, Sheila, all day. I could talk to you about beads all day. I'm full of useless facts, to be honest. But this is a very special time of year. It's about preparing for, as I say, the winter, getting our last harvests in, making sure everything's nice and kind of, letting go of the past and preparing for the future. So preparing all our Christmas makes. So here we go. So I've popped my last pearl on. I'm going to bring both of those wires coming out of the pearl up, and I'm going to give them a little pinch at the top of the pearl because we're going to try and recreate this section here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cross my wires over so they crisscross, and I'm going to hold them with my finger and I'm just twisting the wires. Now I find it easier to just twist the bracelet. So you can see as I'm twisting the bracelet round and round and moving that pinch gradually up the wire so that twist is traveling. Doesn't have to be too long, doesn't have to be too tight a twist either, because we don't want to, snap this bit. But I'm just going to make a few inches. I'm then going to take my large spacer bead again. So the larger one was the 4mm in size. I'm going to trim those ends off on my wire because I don't need all of that. And I'm going to place my spacer bead, the larger one. So if you can just see the difference here, that one's the 3 and that one's the 4. I'm going to place the 4 over both of those twisted wires and push that up against that pearl. I'm then going to take my round nose pliers, or if you want to use your bail step pliers, you can do. And I'm going to start to make a little wrapped loop. So I want a little bit of space between that last bead and the loop itself to wrap around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pliers and I'm going to push that wire over the top of my pliers. So I've got like a little bend, like almost a horizontal bend, just a little bit of space between the bend and the bead. I'm then going to have my pliers so they are above and below the wire on the jaws. I'm going to bring that all the way around. So that twisted wire is going to come round, reposition my hand and bring it underneath and swap it into my less dominant hand. Now what I like to do is I like to tilt that wire up ever so slightly. What happens is if I tilt this wire up, it means when I start to wrap it round, that little space, the neck I refer to it as, between the loop and the bead, it's going to wrap nice and really closely. If you want to make a wrapped loop, if you're using closed jump rings, slide your jump ring on now. We have provided you with all the jump rings in your kit, so you can just open up the jump ring, so you don't need to secure it on now. But tip, if you are using and attaching to something, if you're making a wrap loop, now is usually when you would fit whatever you're attaching it to through the loop, because once we wrap this, it's then permanently closed and really secure. I'm going to take the very tip of that twisted wire and I'm going to bring it around the back and then around the front and then around the back. So I'm just wrapping it round. Each time I wrap, I want that wire to sit nice and neat underneath. So they're not wrapping over each other, they're just sitting underneath, and I'm just going to fill the space, just a small space, between that 4mm spacer and the loop we've just created. I'm now going to cut off any excess wire, so these two twisted wires, give that a little trim, and then I'm going to place my round nose back in just to give myself a little bit of grip, a little bit of purchase, and with my chain nose pliers or my tweezer nose pliers, I'm just going to tuck that end of those two little wire tails right in. I'm going to flip it over, I'm going to tuck it in around the back as well. I'm going to run my finger gently around it, make sure it's fully secured. I don't want any sharp bits sticking out. If we have any wire ends sticking out, it will catch on our clothing and our skin, and we don't want that. So just making sure it's nice and secure. All I need to do now is take myself another jump ring, open my jump ring out. So I'm going to take 2 pairs of pliers. I've already attached my lobster clasp onto one, so I'm just going to give that a little wiggle to make sure I've perfectly closed it. Small twist to open, thread that through and close it again. Now if you want your jump ring to sit in a different way, then all you need to do is just twist that loop ever so slightly, whichever direction you want it to be in, and then your bracelet is done. So I would be taking the lobster clasp and just hooking that through the jump ring to close, and you'll see by bringing those two ends together, it's already formed the shape of that bracelet. I feel a sneeze might be due. I didn't measure it out, but I think it should fit me just nice. So let me get that. I know Camille's always like, you need a hairpin or a bracelet putting on her. Yeah, it does fit. Promise. Let's see. I can put it on really easy, but you know when I'm on a live, there you go. That fits me absolutely lovely, actually. Not too tight, not too loose, just right. A little bit of Goldilocks. Fairness Bond says, lovely making, simple. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you very much. So these are your noughts and crosses bracelets today. I've kind of cheated because I've used the lemon and I've used the olive in this one because I'm showing off that we have a little mixy matchy if you want to. So I'll take you back onto the website and show you gorgeous products. That's not always do this. Come on, there you are. So if you head over to totallybeads.co.uk and into our video tutorial section, you'll see we have an iceberg, a lemon, an olive, a pink, a silver dust and a wisteria. You can get them on, some of them are on gold and some of them are on the silver finishes. I've used gold one today to demo with, which means my wire is gold, my lobster clasp, my jump rings and my spacer beads. Of course, all of those things would be in silver if you chose either the iceberg, the silver dust or the wisteria. Each kit is just £5.99 and that is making up 4 bracelets in each kit. Can't work out how much that is. What's 6 divided by 4? A bargain, that's what it is. Each bracelet is a bargain. So each bracelet that you get, you'll be able to make up. You'll be able to keep one for yourself. You might want to gift one. You might want to do, whatever you want. They're going to make up 4 8-inch size bracelets. So lots and lots of products in these kits for £5.99. But we do have an offer on which is 3 for £15. So if you wanted to get 3 of the golds and you wanted to mix the colours like I've done here, or you wanted to get some in silver, some in gold, you could absolutely do that. Make the most of that offer. I don't know how long it will be on for, but I think it's a good one. And that is it for me today. That's our lovely make. You know what I should have done? I should have found out what am I doing next Monday. Okay, on Monday next week, I'm going to be doing a bracelet for you. These are really pretty. These are also, I think, really festive. And I'm using very pretty Barros beads. Thanks, Sheila. She has the 150. 150? Bargain. You'll sell that for more than 150. So yeah, if you can come and join me on Monday, I'll be doing some Barros bead bracelets with you then, and hopefully be able to get all that alliteration out. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for your very, very lovely comments. Joanne says, very pretty make. Thank you, Natalie. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and stay safe and enjoy Bonfire Night. If you are celebrating Bonfire Night, wrap up warm. If you are not celebrating Bonfire Night and you've got pets, keep them calm, put some music on, and give them lots and lots of cuddles. Or if they just want to go and hide under the bed or whatever, then yeah, you look after yourself and look after them. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week and a fabulous weekend, and I'll see you very soon. Take care.